It is my humble opinion, there's nothing humble about me. Bitcoin will go to fucking zero. It is my humble opinion, there's nothing humble about me. Bitcoin will go to fucking zero. It is my humble opinion, there's nothing humble about me. Bitcoin will go to fucking zero. It is my humble opinion, there's nothing humble about me. Bitcoin will go to fucking zero.
Bonjour, good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you may be. How's everyone doing? Are we all winning? China coins are dying and I like it. China. Greetings from Bogota, Colombia. Oh, thank you, my friend. Greetings from the UK at a destination that I'm not going to reveal. Because HMRC will be outside my door in 5 minutes flat. No, I'm joking, I pay my taxes. Obviously. Obviously. I live from Lisbon, wow. I can't believe I'm broadcasting to an international audience. Hello, sausage? Glad I finally joined in on the LDO fade? My man. I'm short from like $3. YSAP dumping, Bitcoin pumping. We've decorrelated for like the millionth time this year. And that's it. The infinite decorrelation. I live in Buckingham Palace. Yeah. This is the stream where we all get long, right? I'm not so sure, my friend. Everyone on the stream buys $1 a Bitcoin, number will go up. Well, that leads me nicely into my disclaimer. Hi from Saturn. Nice. So none of this stream is financial advice. It is for educational content only. Yada yada yada. Lose or make money however you choose to. Favorite shitcoin short has been FTM. Yeah, that's incredible, man. There's been so many opportunities both on the long and short side in such a short space of time. In literally the last 2.5 months, the volatility has been such a gift. BitBoy is streaming and I have more viewers. That is, I mean, I've made it. I might even text that to my mum. Hi friend and King Charles, hello. I smell today? Nice. Right, well I'm going to stop reading chat, and I'm going to jump into a few bits and pieces. In fact, before I do, how's everyone feeling? Are we all bullish? Bearish? Somewhere in between? Is this the start of the eternal range? The 10-year sideways? Why didn't Harry mention me in the book? Greetings from Warsaw. Oh, cheers, man. Yes, how's everyone feeling? Bullish, bearish? Official narrative. Ultra bear, shorts only. Start up only, bullish on despair. Hate this range with a passion. Wow. Send it down. Okay. Love from the EXO army. Ah, EXO's a legend. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon to all of EXO's wonderful followers. Long LDO and CRV. Ooh, they're counter-trading me, poor brah. Right, let's jump into some thoughts then. Charlie, I came for you. Ah, lovely. Should we start with Bitcoin? Because that's usually a good place to start, isn't it? Let's be honest, everything is just a high beta version of BTC. But one of the ways that I like looking at the market, actually I'll cheat a little bit, is spaghetti. And the newer people in the chat will probably not fully appreciate this, but for me it's just a really good proxy of risk on, risk off with altcoins, and I don't think you get a prize for telling me how the market's been for the last few days, the last week or so. I guess out a gift in subs. What a chat. Magus just straight out here flexing with the 10 subs. What a legend. Magus is a beast. Before everyone spams and asks, there is the chart. So you can copy it. When you open it, you can copy it up there and make your own version of it. Magus for you out some subs. Yeah, pretty much. And one thing I look at more than anything, to be honest with you, is the strength of alt rotations. So we've just had really piss poor strength from alts, which is fair because most of them have been in a continuous downtrend, right? For the last week or so. I mean, look at it, right? Pretty much every single one just down, 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 down. The odd rotation up, the odd outlier, stuff like Ren, which is basically a liquid as fuck, and XRP the last few days, which we'll come on to. But the thing that I always look at is how strong and weak are the bounces. And we've had such weak bounces lately compared to the dips, and that kind of just gives you a really good low time frame proxy of what side is in control. Now, I'm saying that with the thought of going back to BTC and ETH, and we'll map out some high level thought processes on that, but this is one way that really I get a lot of my, like, how do I put it, context, I suppose, and environment from. So if we are in a very strong risk on environment, you're going to see very shallow pullbacks with very strong moves up, and vice versa. If we're in a pretty weak environment for altcoins, we're going to see very small moves up and pretty brutal dips, which is exactly what we've been seeing. Now, we've seen some decent bounces on the odd coin here and there, but the last week or two, you know, the strength has been very firmly in the side of bears. So yeah, let's jump into some other thoughts. I mean, for BTC, I think I honestly, since last stream, I expected a little bit more strength up here. I expected us to at least take some of these previous stops and actually do something a bit more like that. I didn't catch the BTC short that we talked about. The only short I caught was LDO after a couple of failed breakout longs at the top. And a Floki trade, which is a bit odd, a bit different, which I'll talk through in a bit. And I shorted XRP not too long ago, which is somewhere up here. So, yeah, we'll soon be underwater on that one, I imagine. But yeah, I mean, from a high time frame perspective, like this, to me, is like the last kind of fight for the BTC bulls. And the reason that I think that is, you know, it's pretty obvious from the levels that I've marked out here. It really is just a case of this is a bullish market structure until it isn't, right? Like, it breaks there, but this is the last kind of, if you really want to put it in terms of like a 3-day perspective, this is the last chance for a higher low. And from a 3-day momentum perspective, you're still just about holding the 50. So you could still consider it an uptrend. And for the daily RSI, we've kind of lost that. So I don't have a really strong bias here, but altcoins have basically told me that we are risk off. That view has been pretty consistent over the last week or so. We found loads of altcoins like LDO, which I did say I was trying to long at the top. Let's jump to it. I was up here, where were we? Last week. I was trying to long this for a breakout and continuation play. And, it failed. And basically since then we've been down only. So, yeah, where was I going with that? I suppose the point is, I was very much long until you're wrong. And I think in the last stream I even said, I know for a fact that with my trading style, I'm going to lose at least 2 trades before I even think about flipping bias, right? I know that I'm going to keep longing until I'm wrong a couple of times, and that's when I'm going to really have to start thinking about, am I on the right side of the market? Are these distributive ranges, as opposed to just higher time frame continuation and just a cool off? And, turns out there are actually quite a few people in the chat who have watched XO's stream, and, he basically called this a distributive range on both BTC and a lot of alts, particularly Matic, I think. Actually, maybe it wasn't Matic, maybe it was something else. And he's shorted Matic for a while, hasn't he? And I was on the other side of that. I was longing up here, but that doesn't mean I can't flip bias. And this is the thing about trading, is that a lot of people will just remember your last one because they've got the memory of a fucking goldfish, and not think that people can kind of adapt to different market conditions. Like, really? That is the whole point of trading. And you are going to be wrong so many times trading. So many times. You are a professional loser if you're doing this full time. And it's about making the wins big and the losses small. And that sounds really simple, but a lot of people fuck that up. And they fuck it up bad. But anyway, we'll come on to that a bit later. So yeah, for me, BTC, I'm not in any position at the moment. Let me just delete some of this mess because I don't like talking through absolute mess. BTC and ETH are pretty similar on low time frame in terms of they are basically, the ETH one's a little bit cleaner actually, basically just in low time frame ranges. And if you want to play this like low time frame ranges and just, map out deviations and, potentially short the lows or try and catch a break down, then fine. If you want to play like over and under reclaims, long something like this, fine. It doesn't really interest me, largely because it's just at such a decisive point for me personally. And there are like janky divergences if you really, really squint across, the AO down here on the 4 hour. But I personally wouldn't be playing it, to the long side. What I would rather see is I'm currently in 2 short positions, XRP and LDO. And if the market tanks, I'm going to be fine, right? So this is how I always think about it. What position am I in if the market goes up? What if it goes sideways and does fuck all and ranges? And then there's kind of a subdivision there between alt risk on and alt risk off. And then what if the market tanks? So if the market tanks, I'm in 2 shorts, right? Tick, I'm happy. If the market ranges and we're risk off on alts, I'm probably going to be bored, right? There's probably not going to be much for me to trade. If on the other hand, we are risk on with alts, which Spaghetti will tell me, because it will start showing me altcoins doing this and actually bouncing when we sell off, V-shaped recoveries as opposed to just this very slow dogshit grind up, then I'm gonna be fine trading. If the market goes up, I'm gonna mark some levels and go through some trades in a bit of levels I'd like to see reclaimed before I start getting long on alts, right? Really simple. So basically, the only scenario where I'm fucked is the market ranges and risk on, and there's no risk on alts, right? I'm going to be bored. There's not going to be much volatility. But to be honest, not many people apart from market makers are going to be making money in those conditions anyway. So I'm kind of happy with my overall positioning and bias in the market, right? Now, for me, BTC, if we reclaim this 22.7 level, then I could be convinced to take a spot long, up to range high, and then potential continuation higher. Now, I don't see that as a likely scenario in terms of everything else that's going on, but if it does, then that's my plan. If this, then that, right? I don't need to be in a Bitcoin position now just because it's moving or doing something, right? It's actually not moving really at all, as it's doing fuck all. But you get my point. I don't need Bitcoin exposure. And the same thought process really for ETH, but ETH is a little bit more interesting. I'll go through my thought process on ETH because the ETH chart, high time frame perspective, you've probably all seen the same lines drawn by every motherfucker on Twitter, right? 100 times. Right? Same meme lines. We capped the market with this line. We shouldn't have drawn it so thick, to be honest. We'd have been at 3k ETH if we'd have just not all drawn this fucking line, right? But we all did, and we are where we are. But if I just delete absolutely everything, well, I'm just going to focus on one part of this chart, which I don't really talk about very often, and it's this part over here. It's just the volume profile. Now, I'm not a volume-based trader, but I can talk you through the behavior here, right? Because basically, what this tells me is if we lose this level, it is lights out. The reason is, every time we've moved into this $200 sort of zone, we basically just cut through it like a hot knife through butter, right? We literally move into it and reject instantly. Again, hot knife through butter, constant rejection, hot knife through butter, blah blah blah. And yes, I'm doing it in a very patronizing manner. I could talk to you about auction market theory, I could talk to you about other bits and pieces, but from a simple high time frame bias perspective, it's kind of like if we start moving down to here, then even that in and of itself is probably just going to be a reasonable short opportunity. Now, I don't want to just short into this as it stands, and what you'd probably get is some decent ETH BTC confluence, right? So you would expect in a weakening downtrending market for ETH, which is a obviously higher beta proxy to BTC, to start doing this. And maybe when you lose that level, the trade is actually to short the shit out of ETH BTC. Does that all make sense? So I'm less horny to long ETH, purely because why long ETH when you can long altcoins? But the thicker the meme line, the bigger the resistance. Yeah, I mean, I've probably just capped the entire market here, right, by drawing this line. So I've propped up the market for everybody. A thank you would be nice. Do you know what I mean? The illiquid zone. When altcoin Charlie? Yeah, to be honest, it was probably my worst decision in branding. BTC Charlie, given that I rarely trade BTC these days. I'm actually more like shitcoin Charlie. Yeah, hopefully that makes sense. Hey Shara. I probably just butchered your name. Hey, how's it going? But yeah, like, I would potentially chase that short, Grant Stevenson. Can you check DYDX? I actually looked at the DYDX chart earlier, mate. It's in the bin. Magus is gifting another sub. Oh my god, I've got to get my bank to unfreeze my card for Twitch. Auction Market Theory. If you want some stuff on Auction Market Theory, I think Magus has got a free YouTube video that you can peep at. Do I trade Bay FF1 subscriber Prime? My god, we're getting so many subs. Cheers, Bay. Cheers, Bay FF. What a legend. I'll talk through LDO in a second, and I don't trade traditional. But I do look at it like you can't not look at it, right? I mean, I've talked about the dollar strength for basically every bloody stream I've been on. Yeah, you can actually see my last little market structure memes. And like even the meme arrow, look, called it in the paid group, boys. But, you know, the strength of the dollar just tells you to be risk off. And I keep going back to it, bouncing off a monthly pivot, holding above it, and now we've actually had, you know, a push above. Sorry, this is messy. This goes with a 6-hour chart, even though 6-hour charting is disgusting. You know, resistance, push above, and this looks like it's going to hold because we actually tried to push below. So from a TA perspective, and people will tell you can't TA the dollar, which, whatever, you know, TA is just a way of defining your risk. So only drug people and arms dealers use the dollar. Legend. Yeah, this does well for my crypto holdings, which are actually majority in USDT, and I presume US dollar against the pound is nice and strong. So yeah, like this for me is a nice clean level that just says, I'll just delete all my shitty brushwork, but hold above it, bearish, move below it, bullish on crypto, right? Because if the dollar is going to do this, what's going to happen to your risk on assets? All your risk on assets are going to go like that, right? Combine that with bond yields and all that kind of wonderful stuff. Why would people be sat in risky assets when they can just get a 4, 5, 6, 10% yield off no risk, right? So yeah, it's a nice level. It's a nice pivotal level to think, when should I go back to longing shitcoins? And I presume the market would follow. So let's say we do get that, and we do get an underside retest here, and we actually start seeing on Spaghetti that alts are starting to really move away from BTC. You know, we are actually showing a real bit of strength and demand. Then when it all adds up like that, you can get some really just nice confluence and trades out of it. But we're not in that situation, right? So let's stop dreaming. Stop dreaming, and let's just face the reality that the dollar is bullish. The dollar has closed above the previous resistance, and alts have been particularly risk off, and crypto generally has been fairly risk off. Also XOXO. XO has a lot of amazing followers, and he is one of the best traders in the space, so I appreciate you all being here, and obviously his support. He's an absolute legend. They can long shitcoins and make more than 5%. Long Smatic. Yeah, we'll do some requests and stuff in a bit, but I'll just follow off the thought process, or close off rather the thought process on TradFi. So, you know, NQ, nothing too much exciting, and SPX again, just ranging between some meme levels. A kind of, you know, weakish rejection here. I'm not particularly fussed about trading, well, about my view on this, because I'm not trading it, right? Ooh, look at that, take up the whole screen. It's kind of just all meandering from a weekly perspective around this kind of 50 level. Like those straight legend, best trader out there. He is absolutely fantastic, and I think the way that he explains everything, and the way that his system is quite simple but complex, in the sense of he takes into account a lot of global macro factors. He takes into account you know, various different ways of looking at it, like Wyckoff schematics, Wyckofian, I don't know, however you say it. Yeah, and presents it in a very clean and elegant way is just wonderful, absolutely wonderful. Being a macro outlook, yeah, his pre-stream notes are just fantastic. Yeah, I mean, I'll run you through some sort of setups and thought processes. Let's peep. So I shorted XRP. I am short from some shit average entry, which is about 0.48, I think, which I'm probably, like I said, about to get stopped on. One of the reasons was we had, and this is like me preparing some stuff before the stream, and then obviously the market moves and basically invalidates your thought process as you are doing it. So we've got some meme levels drawn out. We had a really strong move into here, into this 0.3961 level, and from a lower time frame perspective, we had a fairly clear resistance and a pretty strong diagonal meme line to support as well. So we had a strong move. We had RSI and AO kind of dwindling down, and the thought process was that this could be like a distributive range, and I entered my short up here, and I martingaled in a little bit on this sell-off. So I'm currently short XRP from 3948 ish, but it doesn't look like it's doing too badly in terms of a rotational bounce. So one of the things that I look at, guys, when I'm in a position, particularly a short position, is how strong is this asset that I'm shorting compared to everything else. So XRP is here, so it's kind of, I'm not too worried about that, but it is one of the stronger assets. It is in the top 30%, whereas my LDO short, for example, is sat down here. So it's kind of like I've got even more confidence on my LDO shorts, even though I'm up significantly on that position. So yeah, I might have to babysit my XRP short a little bit, but it was meant to just be a rotational short, essentially down to here, something like that. Thoughts on people drawing support and resistance on the VIX chart? I don't really have any, mate. Complex pullback guy. It's Osaka. It could be. It could be. But yeah, we'll see if this trade plays out. I'm not, I haven't got any particular high hopes for it or anything like that, but that's my thought process on that. Now, SHIB is a really interesting one. Someone's already asked about it in the chat, and SHIB has got a really nice high time frame level. So bear with me. I think if we can reclaim this 1152 level, it looks like a great long. Like, we had divs, 4-hour divs across quite a lot of alts this week, but none of them really played out. Obviously, SHIB is quite different in the sense of they have Shibarium launching, or launched, or whatever it is, so it's quite an in-play coin, and we've seen it on here be pretty strong. On the rotations, we have basically SHIB and XRP are doing well. So if we can get a move up, if it can give me an invalidation in terms of where to get long and where to close it if I'm subsequently wrong, then something like this, even just as a level to level move, would be okay. And thinking about if you can get any form of strength like out of the market, because it's really going to be dependent on BTC, as we talked about earlier, then you could potentially run this a little bit higher if you wanted to. But given my bias really is short, it's going to take me quite a bit to jump on this. And what I'd love to see is a slow grind up, a strong sell-off into meme level, and then a strong rotational bounce. So by that I mean something like this, an absolute outlier on spaghetti to give me confidence just to jump on board. And then when you get that, they are like the perfect trades for me. So that's SHIB. Oh, I've got AVAX on here. What do I want to talk about on AVAX? Oh yeah, because it was a good momentum example. It was a good momentum example of basically these divs playing out, but to like no real strength, and basically being capped by the 50 RSI. So when people sort of tell you that RSI doesn't work, it's really because a lot of people don't understand RSI in and of itself, the calculation, what it's trying to tell you. And you had the confluence here of RSI and AO, like in terms of both of them saying that there's probably going to be a bounce. Yeah, okay, that bounce wasn't particularly significant. It was only a few percent, and it is in a strong downtrending market. So if you look at an EMA, very simple EMA, I think it's the 33 on a 4-hour basis. We've been in a bearish trend since here, since the 23rd of February, so nearly 2 weeks. So, you can't be super aggressive in your expectations of divs in strong downtrends. Uncle Sam, please dump the Portuguese snowblower coins. Legend. Someone's seen my meme. That was a great meme, wasn't it? Let's be honest. Gotta ask about Matic. I haven't really looked at Matic for a while. I will cover it just because you're so wonderful, and you ask so nicely. Yeah, it's I don't know how EXO did it, to be honest. That meme was too much. So with Matic, one of the things that, in fact, I talked to EXO about, and one of my favourite short setups, which I've said time and time again on this stream, guys, is basically a parabolic run. And everyone laughs at these kind of meme structures, but actually, and the reason that they're typically laughed at is because, I can do this and I can make this fit pretty much any price action, right? So it's not real, quote unquote, price action trading, right? It's just how do I put it? It's a bit of a meme. But if you think about the buying process, I guess, behind a parabolic move, I'll just go over here, give me some space to doodle. If you think about it, you're kind of grinding along. Participants are arguing the value of Matic at $1. Suddenly it starts going up, and then it starts going up even more, and then everyone's convinced that it's just going to go up only, and then actually no, that's when sellers start stepping in, and typically you get a nice complacency shoulder up here, which is where I love to short, and then it just fucking dies off, right? Didn't really have that as much on Matic. You might have done on like an hourly chart or something like that. Like that, you could argue that that's a complacency shoulder or whatever, but it's definitely not particularly clean compared to that. But yeah, if I wanted to jump on board Matic, it probably wouldn't be here. Where would it be? Let's get rid of my shitty drawings. Apologies, my mild autism keeps me from just giving you disgusting charts. I mean, you've got a really clear level here. Really clear. Matic's great, you short the F out of it. Yeah, you must be one of EXO's followers. By rotational bounce, do you mean rotational profits from other trades into SHIB? No, what I mean by rotational bounce is, what I call a rotation is, the market works like this. It goes up, it goes down, it goes up, it goes down, it goes up, it goes down, right? And sometimes those up moves are bigger, sometimes those down moves are bigger, right? And that's all it is. And basically the entire market is BTC, generally. So if Bitcoin goes up, all your shitcoins will go up with it. If Bitcoin goes down, all your shitcoins are going to zero, right? One rotation is the bottom of a Bitcoin move. So there to the top of a Bitcoin move, and that's it. And then you get bottom to top. And this part is the part that I'm usually interested in participating in. So trying to long whatever comes out of this and riding up to, not here obviously, because it's, I'm not trying to catch the top and the bottom, I'm trying to catch the meat of the moves. But that's what I mean by a rotation. I tend not to play the short side in terms of rotational price action using spaghetti charts, because it's much, much, much harder, much, much easier to do it just on price action and momentum divergences and stuff like that. Wow. Charlie doing the Tommy Shelby voice. It's just my voice. I don't think anyone has ever told me that I've got a Thomas Shelby voice, but I'll take it. I'll take it. Thank you very much. And a carrot. Why a carrot? Carrots are pretty thin, mate. I will do LDO, my friend. I will do LDO. Yeah, Matic, you know, this is a pretty strong sell-off. And if I was starting to look for, you know, if I'm in a short position, I want to see some form of momentum divergences, or I want to see a meme level get hit, or, you know, let's start thinking about other ways of looking at this. You know, this range here. Sorry, I'm going over this in detail for you, I know, but you asked a question, you participated, you know. Reclaim of this, then close. If not, rejection, maybe add. You listen to Charlie in bed before sleep, and my wife's starting to ask a lot of questions about him. Well, I won't tell my wife about that, don't worry. Is it because I've got a very soothing voice? And, thoughts on Phil? Yeah, I mean, it's a fucking thin book, that. And, when it moved earlier, it was, it's kind of not the coin that you want to see be the bid in the market. Oh, it's still reasonably strong. That's weird. Really weird. I don't like it. Sorry, I just had a slurp of some water. You probably didn't need to hear that. Yeah, what else are we talking about? Magic bearish flagging? How about FET? Whoa, 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 whoa. So what have we done? We've done AVAX because it was a good example of momentum not really producing much. Floki. Let's talk about Floki. So, unironically, I bought some Floki in here just before this move. Let's have a look at it on here. And to be honest, this was a really piss poor execution on my part because I just got greedy. So it had really, really a weird day. I can't remember what day it was, whatever day this was here. Tuesday. So yeah, I bought some Floki around about here, and literally it was a rotation. It was strong on this chart, and it was also strong from a 4-hour sell-off perspective. So we had a lot of alts printing divergences down here, and off this sell-off, which actually Floki pretty much just held up afterwards. And there was a market dip on, was it Sunday? And Floki didn't really do much, it just held this range. And then when we started getting some strength over here, it was a bit of an odd one for me to long, to be honest with you. But you know, it was breaking out of range, it was relatively strong compared to the rest of the market. It was a pretty reasonable trade, and it literally pumped 10%, probably, yeah, 11% basically a couple of hours after I posted it. I think I posted it at 6 o'clock in the morning my time. Yeah, so literally 2 hours after. I only sold 20% into this up here sometime when I posted it on Twitter, and then I basically round-tripped the rest, so that was piss poor execution on my part. But it was just a good example of an outlier. So the rest of the market, let's just compare LDO. So bearing in mind the low was Friday the 3rd. Friday the 3rd was here. So the rest of the market kind of dying off and still dying, right? Whereas Floki sort of found a floor. It found a consolidation and a range, which was really odd when I was flicking through all the different 4-hour charts. So, that alone told me that this was a reasonable coin in terms of strength relative to the rest of the market. Does that make sense? So every other alt's doing this, and this alt's doing that. In simple terms. But yeah, Floki's another interesting one where I'd be tempted to buy like a sweep of this range low, or if I see some strength on Spaghetti, I'd be tempted to jump in as well. Good lord. Lovely. FTM strong downtrend. You've got two reasons to jump on board though. I think if you break meme diagonal and if you reclaim this, quite high time frame level on FTM, I just don't see it happening personally. The other side of the coin is you short a retest of it. Please say bottle of water for the burgers once. No, I don't speak like a poor person, I'm afraid. I say bottle of water in the King's English. GRT, better RR, possibly. Someone was talking about LDO. So I am in an LDO short, as I've probably told you about 400 times. So the question for me is, let's just delete all of this shit, shall we? Where do I want to take profit? Because I'm in a reasonably sized position. I'm in reasonable profit on it. And I don't really want to give too much back. Whoa. This is an ASMR channel now? Yeah, 100%. So for me, it's completely unreasonable to just think that this is just going to keep going down, right? It's just going to keep going in perpetuity. There's going to be no bounce, and I've caught the absolute pico top of the market at $3 or whatever my average short is, right? So was it a good trade? Yes. Is it a good entry? Yes. Does that mean I should just round trip it and let it go to fucking zero because I'm an idiot and the market, is a bear market, the recession's coming and all this kind of crap? Like, no. I need to start thinking about, well, if I see X, am I going to close it? Because I don't really have a target for it, if I'm being brutally honest. Right? I might have had this, and I've got a couple of levels drawn out, but I'm just trying to ride this trend as far as I can. And I've got some confluence now. I'll use this chart later actually. This is easier. I've got some confluence now building around this former range low, the EMA in and of itself, because 4-hour EMA, we've been bearish since here, and actually it's still a very strong downtrend, right? So I've got kind of two points, or two inflection points, where I should reasonably take some profit. One is actually here, and just go, well, it's reached a pretty pivotal level in terms of the higher time frame context on LDO. And this is quite pivotal here. We bounce, okay. We've bit of chop there, reject, we blast through, hold, reject. Like it seems to respect this 2-4-ish level, so it would be reasonable to take some size off there. Now I can always add size back on up here if I want to, if we reject, and I can always just close the trade if we get up to here and hold back into this range essentially. So they're kind of the thoughts that I've got at the moment. And then if the EMA starts pulling down, or we start, how do I put it? If the EMA starts kind of doing this and broadening out, and we just start consolidating, it's probably time just to take some off the table. If not all of it, at least half of it. Because to be honest with you, as soon as we start consolidating, your trade changes from a trend following trade to it's back into a range and a consolidation, and you kind of end up with a 50-50 breakout trade, right? And I'd rather just bank the profit on this one and then just start again. LDO is a meta coin in recent times. Do you not avoid the stronger coins when looking to short? So yeah, I mean, I kind of talked about that point earlier, which is, for me personally, like, God, that's a lot of brushes, isn't it? When a trading view going to implement the artist function, just delete all brushwork? So shorting the strong coins is usually quite difficult, and I usually don't do it unless you see that kind of euphoric pattern. But then the other side of the coin is I was trying to long, so I took a reasonably sized L in terms of it was, you know, I had a reasonable position in here. It was only 1% or 1.5% I think I risked actually for some form of continuation along up here. Right, so I took that on the gin. I can't remember what the actual trade setup was, but I tried that. I also tried longing it in here and got absolutely stomped on again. Although I think I scraped 1% off LDO and OP twice, and then I did one long of Dusk, OP, and LDO, and again it was like I round trip Dusk. I think I got 1% on LDO, and I think I got 2% on OP or something like that. So it was just like 3 very lucky not to take L trades over the course of them in this little region, which told me that my bias of just being long only at a point where we've basically had a reasonable attempt at the highs and absolutely failed and rejected. So this is kind of your range now. So it's time to flip bias and try to get on board on a short. And typically, if you can short the strongest performing coins that were very strong on the way up, if that beta is removed from the market, i.e. your rotations are shit to the long side, so your rotations are like this, then your previously strong coins will actually be pretty bad. And they'll be good for your short side beta, if that makes sense. You look at LDO down here. This is exactly my point. 2 weeks ago, LDO was up here. LDO was one of your #1 performing coins, almost guaranteed. Whereas now, it's completely flipped that. So beta works both ways. If your coin is doing this, it'll probably do that. If your coin is doing this, it'll probably do that. Right? In terms of what Bitcoin is doing. And I keep drawing that. I should just have that as like a standard thing. Do the squiggle. But yeah. Hopefully that makes sense. I've probably done LDO to death. Which time frame do you usually look at to gauge if a coin has begun consolidation? I don't really have a particular time frame, and for me it's about context. So higher time frame, this is all probably boring old wisdom that you've heard a million times, but higher time frame context is more important than lower time frame context. If you've got a 5-minute consolidation, or you've got a 5-minute uptrend in what is a daily downtrend, a strong daily downtrend, that means fuck all, right? Unlikely to be the bottom. And vice versa, if you've got a strong daily uptrend and you've got a 5-minute consolidation that's starting to break down, is that the top? Maybe. But are you going to bet your life savings that that's the top? I mean, I genuinely operate on the 1 second chart. So, Charlie just pay pants at the position. Yeah, I do. I've held LDO. Do you know about? I fucking held LDO for like a week almost. Well, not a week. Feels like a week, but it's been 5 days. So, that's just. So, yeah, the question was, what time frame do I usually look to gauge if a coin has begun consolidation? So I do prefer higher time frame, like the 4 hour. The 4 hour is probably my favorite chart for context in terms of, starting to look at momentum. So you can see actually on LDO, we are slowing it down in terms of downside momentum, and it looks like that there is a reasonable divergence on AO and on RSI, and actually if you can start seeing some strength in here, then it's probably a good place to take some profit off the table, because you've got the confluence of this previous resistance turn support and basically both of your indicators giving you momentum indicators, giving you that insight. Does that make sense? kind of want to check with you guys just as I'm going through. Good. So someone's asking for OP. Let me just finish the rest of my stuff. Magic's had some really good rotations, so it's on my list of like Kudalong. You've got some invalidation down here, but reasonably it's quite difficult, and it's quite liquid as well. But again, it's that kind of play where, you know, I need to see a move to get on board before, you know, I'm not just going to long and try and catch a falling knife essentially. But it is one of the alts that has, you know, a bit more of a strong consolidation, a strong upward consolidation over the last few days, as opposed to just, you know, blindly dying like LDO and FTM. So, you know, compare that structure to LDO, which is just down. Magic is like that. So, you know, the market is telling you something. With Mask, it's actually just at a very clean, clear level. So we had a really strong move, which has basically been fully retraced. And it's an odd one because it had very high beta for literally 2 days, and then it just fucking died again. But if you can see that it, you know, comes into this level, maybe has some divergences down here, and then maybe shows some relative strength, got a really good case for longing it again for potentially another rotation. Chib we talked about, and XRP I have talked about, and I'm likely to get stopped out of that live on stream if I'm not stopped already. No, I don't think I'm stopped. I think I've had one clip out. Noob question: what does it mean when people say a coin is illiquid? It's not a noob question at all, mate. Excuse me while I slurp the dip. What it means is there's, how do you explain the purpose of it, or not the purpose, but so you have an order book, you have what people perceive as current price, but what you actually have is a load of orders resting one side and a load of orders resting the other, right? And let's say that these are buys on the left. No. Let's do 2 lines, shall we? Come on, Charlie. Sorry, it's been a long day. Let's say these are buys. You know, limit orders on the left and limit sales on the right. Now, if this depth here is, let's do it on the other side. This depth here is $100, and I come along and I sell $100,000 worth of my shitcoin, it's just going to tank the price so far down, right? If that is $10 million and I sell 10k into it, it's going to make fuck all difference, right? I'm not even going to touch the sides. So liquidity is like whether you're having sex with a nun or, you know, the village bike. It's like slinging a sausage up an alleyway, or the tightest thing you're ever going to have. I beg your pardon. Hi-oh. Yeah. So it's just about your size and how that size fits in with the market. So for example, if I had held on to my $1 billion of SHIB, when I went to sell that, I would have tanked the market 80%, because the market could not absorb $1 billion worth of Shiba Inu being dumped in a single transaction. It's like taking sweets from a jar. The amount of coins you have depends on how much sweets you're taking out. What? That was me. Maybe I've butchered that, but screw it. That's the explanation you're getting. Yeah, that's all it means, is illiquid. Hopefully that makes sense. So if someone, if you're, you know, trading a coin that's got very thin order books and is doing 10k daily volume, then you're probably going to be in trouble. There you go, mate. Cool. I think we've done nearly an hour. Wow. Someone wanted to look at OP, didn't they? Kind of begrudge OP. I think if this was any other chart, people would just be doing that and calling that the previous, all-time high retest. But it's kind of the same with pretty much any altcoin at this point in time. It's very focused on BTC. The rotations are not forgiving. So, even if you are long one of the best beta altcoins out there, they're not particularly great. What have we done? An hour and a half, and we've done maximum 1.4% move. The market just isn't risk on. And you have to decide whether you want to be the person who plays every rotation and gets chopped up, or you're the person who just goes, I'll miss the first rotation, and I will come on board on the second one, which is me, to be honest. Because what's the point? Why would I try and preempt every single sell-off and suggest that every single sell-off, when the trend for the last 7 days has been weak alt rotations, why would I just assume that this one's going to be a strong one? Now, don't get me wrong, I would immediately jump in on one if we had a huge liquidity cascade on BTC, and I saw alts literally starting to do that on the 1 second spaghetti. But I'm very good at managing my position size and managing my average entries in conditions like that. So it's definitely one of my strengths. And what most people do is they get a huge sell-off, they get a little pump, and they long, which I do too. And then it starts going against them and they go, okay, well, I'll either add a bit more or I'll just wait to see if this recovers. And they get a strong move down and just won't close. And then it'll just keep fucking going. Whereas usually I will just say, well, if it's retested my entry, I'm going to just close half of it. I can always re-add when it comes back up. If it comes back up, if my theory is right, that actually this one, huge liquidity cascade is over. Yeah, I'm quite quick in that process. So I don't recommend people do it unless you're on my Bybit ref link, in which case, fill your boots. But yeah, why would I slam bids into alts that are doing 1% rotations when basically after fees that's going to be 2/3 of fuck all, right? Hey Charlie, tanking the order book can only be done with market orders. No, not really. You can do it with limit chasers if you really want to. You've got a decent execution bot or terminal. Blur is really interesting, actually. I'll talk about Blur very quickly. It's a very difficult one, and I memed this the other day, which is the classic like liquidity cascade pattern, which is literally just an inverted parabolic curve. What tends to happen in these scenarios is you get, the final capitulation, which is a very, very strong, high volume candle where people literally do what it says on the tin, which is capitulate. The difficulty with then getting on board something like this is you've basically got fuck all price action to validate your long theories. There is this level down here, but it's not exactly of historical significance. So if I was looking to get a position in something like Blur, it would be capitulation and then reclaim of said level. It wouldn't be anything else, and in the context of a reasonable market. No supply zone on PA. Well, it's kind of just the context. If we had a, an initial run, and then basically sellers have been in control constantly, and I don't know how distributed or not the airdrop is. I think there's actually a dashboard you can look at to find that, a June Dash, one of the actual only uses of on-chain analytics, because you don't ever see on-chain traders. Yeah. But, as we saw with stuff like Aptos, what tends to happen with these things is they go completely under the radar, and then they are still new and shiny. This was Aptos. There's no reason why we couldn't have, a very, very strong capitulation. I know that this was FTX and all that kind of wonderful stuff, but, maybe we're at this point of it. Maybe we're at this point down here, where actually we've had... I don't own any Blur, by the way, not anymore, but I don't have any conflicts or anything with this one. But, strong capitulation, and then slowly, and then obviously just absolute parabola as, well, one, everyone was shorting the shit out of it, and two, new and shiny. It usually wins the race. Ah, cheers, VA. Nice to see you. See you nice. Soldier Blur at 0.95. I was looking at Aptos then, thinking like, what? Ah, that's good, man. Do you have any tips for entering alts for the long term? Strong supports is a logical one. I'm in search for more confirmation. Still some PTSD left, I guess. I think it all comes down to, it'll sound really dumb and cheesy, it comes down to you, your investment outlook, your risk outlook, whether you consider macro or not, whether you trade off dollar strength, whether you can hold for long periods of time. The risk spectrum of crypto is really wide as well. Because you could put $1,000, okay, you might have a $10,000 portfolio, and you might think, right, I'm going to put $1,000 of that in high-risk shitcoin low caps. I do have a Telegram, but I don't really post in it, to be honest, mate. I'm really lazy when it comes to there. Maybe I'll revamp it a little bit. So, I actually did a thread on... Bear with me, I'll find the thread for you. I did a thread ages ago on like how I manage my positions and stuff. And it was quite good, if I don't say so myself, but it was more about just the balance of my portfolio. And it was, I had, say, 25% in Bitcoin and ETH, 25% in trading balance, 25% in investments, which, to me, an investment is something that I'm going to put 10 grand in and then I'm going to leave for 2 years, or I'm going to take it out at 100x. Like, that's kind of it. So really sitting back and thinking about your risk profile is the starter. And, you are basically betting on either the market bottoming, or being bottomed to long alts, because fundamentally, as you should know with Luna and stuff like that, if an alt can go down 99%, it can go down another 99%. So don't be kind of deluded, and you need to manage your risk above everything else. So I feel like I've just repeated the same fucking points. Let me start it again and just be really succinct. 1, determine your risk profile. 2, determine your time frames. Time horizons are really important. Are you investing in a 1 million market cap project with the hope that it goes to 100 million? Because you're probably going to have far more joy doing that than trying to time, global markets essentially. Because as soon as it gets out and on the radar, as soon as it gets to be a SHIB or it gets to be an AVAX, an FTM, or whatever, once it's at the $1 billion stage, like, you're basically just trading the wider markets. So I started on Trade Ogre, and I started started just buying altcoins in 2017 and Bitcoin and not knowing what the fuck I was doing. But if I had to start again, I'd probably just like yeet, say, I don't know, $100, $500, $1,000, whatever you can afford to gamble with on like low cap shitcoins. Because honestly, some of them have just been going 10x, 20x. You know, you hit them in the right conditions, and if you know what you're investing in, so you know that you're taking a chunk of a, 500k, 1 million, 10 million market cap project, then I don't know. I'd probably start, if I had to start again, I'd start on the very high risk side of things, to be honest with you. Especially if you've got like a full-time job or something on the side as well. You started in 2020 and somehow lost money on Bitcoin. Honestly, don't know how you managed it. I presume it was because you overmanaged your positions. You weren't ever comfortable with the money that you'd put in, and you probably didn't have a plan. Because that's exactly all the stuff that I kind of did in 2017. Although I was too comfortable with the money I'd put in, to be honest. And it wasn't real money as soon as it went into the crypto sphere. So I had a fundamental lack of value. Is Adam really gay? Great question. I don't know, nor do I care. Did I 100x it? No, not in 2017. No, I think my peak. So I took out 10x what I invested in 2017, but my peak, which kind of didn't include the 10x cash out, was 33x. So it was probably more like 50x if you included like compounding effects of the 10x-ish I cashed out, but yeah, I then rode that 33x down to like minus 60, minus 70% or something like that, because I was young and naive. And then that's when I sat back, did a trade plan, did everything else. I think I actually sold everything pretty much down here, and rebought in. So I literally sold every bit of crypto I had. Maybe it was here. Everything. I moved it all to my bank account, and then I rebought it all in with a plan, like a business plan basically. And I said I'm going to put, $1,000 in this, $1,000 in that, $10,000 in this, whatever it might be, and if my portfolio falls within these parameters, I'm going to take stuff out and yada yada yada. So it was very methodical and planned. Just discovered your streams, thanks mate. Well, if you hit the follow button, you'll hear the wonderful words of Michael Saylor telling you there is no second best. Can I share my Mac review? Yeah, it's fucked. Thank you. That'll be $1,000. Do you want a bit more detail than it's fucked, or is that kind of good enough? I'm not going to pretend to be a macro expert all up, but to me, it's just really simple, right? A house, a property, is essentially an investment of cash flows. So, I used to be an accountant, and you are comparing your rental income of said property with essentially what you could get in a bank. And to fund it, you are borrowing at a borrowing rate. That borrowing rate is going through the roof. So you have one of two things to do. You have to up your rental payments, which rent as a percent of income is the highest it's ever been. And rent as a percent of income is usually a good proxy for recession, and we're literally up here right now. So there's going to be a huge housing market bubble where house prices were, well there is a bubble and it's starting to pop, where house prices were dramatically inflated because every motherfucker and their dog was going out on a effective 0% or 2.2% interest rate and buying mortgages for stupid houses that they shouldn't be able to afford. And now what's going to happen is that their house prices are going to drop, they're going to be a massive negative equity, and everyone's going to be fucked. And even the UK government in particular were trying to get all the newbies onto the housing ladder at this point, and now it's fucked. Can I make the music a little lower? Just for you. There you go. So yeah, you've just got an absolute shitstorm of rent being the highest percent of income it's ever been, house prices being effectively the highest they've ever been, based off the cheapest money there's ever been to borrow. It's only going to go one way. And when all these people who bought or remortgaged during this period have to remortgage and have to go through that process, what percent of their income is, their income is this, right? Currently, this much of it is bills and bullshit, right? What's going to happen? It's going to go to this. And now, guess how much they're going to have to spend on your shitcoins? Like, I don't know. Can someone really love trading charts, or is it just an addiction? Can it be both? I love it, but I'm definitely addicted to it. Isn't that a full-time dev in the middle of your career? I don't see a way to be able to afford a house without making a crypto. Yeah, sadly, mate, I don't see it either. 2009 will repeat, crash, probably. Landlords are getting fucked by regulation. Yeah, and tax. Got to go, thanks for sharing. Yeah, thanks, mate. And I'm going to head off as well, actually, everybody. I'm going to leave it there, probably. Thank you to everyone for tuning in. It's been a pleasure. It's been my pleasure. If KCP ban was rugged, help. DM me on Twitter, mate. And I'll sort you out. So yeah, if you enjoyed the stream, just hit the follow button. I do this once a week. When conditions are right, I normally do it a little bit more, to be honest with you. But it's been a really slow week for me trading. I've literally had an LDO short, a Floki long, an XRP short, which I think I just got rugged on, and that's been it. It's been really slow. So yeah, thank you all for the support. It's been an absolute pleasure, and I will play you out with my own personalised theme song, because I think that's the only way to really go, isn't it? Until next time, ladies and gents.
He's BTC Charlie with his linguini charting. He loses sometimes, but hardly. He's BTC Charlie. But now he's GBP Charlie. It doesn't matter what he's charting. His trading is tough, but it's not all that bad with Charlie. He's got memes in the morning and more in the evening. It's Charlie. And when trading gets hard and support starts to lean, search Charlie.